You know what the most toxic thing is? I ghosted my therapist.
What?
Hey, this is Sugar Honey Bubble Tea, a podcast aimed to amplify Asian women voices while navigating race, dating, and wellness. I am Ange.
Hello, everyone. I'm Toby.
I am in shambles today. Tell people to follow us.
Oh my God, this is not our first rodeo. Before we start today's episode, make sure you go follow us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. It's at sugahoneybbt.
And we post a lot of podcast-related segments every week, and there's just a lot of juicy contents. So just, make sure you follow us. You can also PayPal us. That's our main source of income for this podcast.
Yes.
So this week, someone gave us money.
We have a PayPal shout out to our sugar daddy.
Who is it?
Peter. Mr. Peter.
And he has a question. Peter's question is...
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? What's for dinner?
A case of heartbreak.
Heartbreak and therapy. I don't think anyone knows this, but we have we can bring nuance to each other's life and on the podcast, but when it comes to what's for dinner, it breaks us.
It's like holding us at gunpoint.
Because every time we finish the podcast, and I'm always like, hey, you want to order some Uber? Like, what's for dinner? And then we'll just both go into silence.
And then we'll
it's just
repeatedly say, so what do you want to eat? Until one of us gives in.
And we order Thai.
Yes.
And it's usually me. But anyways, what's for dinner? Well, depression and anxiety. Macaroni Gatorade.
Macaroni Gatorade. Because Mercury is in retrograde, you guys.
Yes, guys.
Macaroni.
Mercury in retrograde. I've been having a shit week. Who's also been having a shit week? Let us know. How has your shit week been?
How shit is your shit week? So far it hasn't been too bad. There's nothing really major. Or you know what? Maybe I'm chill because I'm disassociating from my own life.
Oh, how do you do that? Teach me.
I don't know. I would say it's kind of like a gift that I have.
Oh, yeah.
You know, some people are born gifted. That's my gift.
You are your own antidepressant.
Yes. I can disassociate like no others.
Oh, man, that's your purpose in life.
Yes. Keep calm and disassociate. Yes.
Okay.
Just carrying on doing the things that I need to do, and life sometimes it's funny like that.
I've heard people been getting some like people from the past showing up in their life, ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends.
Because Mercury is going in retrograde in Libra. So a lot of your past entanglements might show up.
Why? Wait, why?
Because Libra is like directs in relationship or something like that, or romance, or So that's probably why.
Oh.
So
okay.
Yeah. So how's your shit week been?
Oh man, my week was so shit. Okay, it started off with there's just so much. Let's just go through it. Bullet point by bullet point.
Okay.
It started off, I met a Karen, quote unquote Karen, with some sort of car incident. Anyways, it was really stupid. It was their fault by the laws of the street. No, they were blocking my car and they weren't supposed to, and they won't move. And then I was really pissed and I hung at them a little bit, and then they went crazy. They got out of their car, got in front of my car, trying to I don't know. So I hit them. I'm in a moving car, by the way. And
my God.
yeah, it was all crazy. I have a dash cam. I got it all on camera. And then as I was leaving, I was so pissed. I was driving in anger.
When we hit 1K, we'll release the footage.
Oh, we should. You know
should.
what? Because I didn't want to release the footage. Because at first I'm like, fuck them. I'm going to report to the police. I'm going to post this on one of those like Karen Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
And like just, I'm going to. And then I was so mad. And not only her and her son.
Oh.
Or her very young lover, I don't know what was like just like showing me the finger outside the door. Yeah, it was all just a whole mess. Anyways, I was just so mad driving. And then as I was leaving, I went through all the emotions of a human being, like frustration to anger to like self-reflection to just everything. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to choose forgiveness.
Wow.
I just decided that I'm not going to be a vehicle of anger and that they can do that themselves. And if I don't know how, I mean, I do know because I'm wise, that I came to this conclusion on my own and I'm very proud of myself. But yeah, I was just thinking, you know, for me to do this, I'm spreading on the anger forward and I'm the vehicle of the emotion anger. And that's just going to make me more mad. So I'm just going to choose forgiveness and cut that pattern for myself. And karma will get them. Karma will get those Obviously, anger is still there.
Forgive but never forget. Never.
Yeah, no. All jokes aside, if they are always choosing to be in that emotion and to choose anger, then this kind of stuff will always happen to them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just wish the best for them too. And
on their toxic endeavors.
On their toxic endeavors. And every time they eat, they choke but never die.
Choke.
Anyways,
just slightly.
Just slightly. But it's just slightly enough that you don't enjoy the food.
Yeah.
But you don't die. But yeah, truly I have chosen to move on. So like I was like, yeah, that's probably the end of it. You can't get shittier than this. And the universe is like, nope. Yeah. And it's just like a series of shitty things that happened to me this whole week.
A series of shitty events.
Yeah.
Are there any revelations?
I think that was one. I think that was a great epiphany of mine where I chose forgiveness. And then I came up to my mom, my Asian mom, about going to therapy, which brought me enormous amount of guilt. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Coming out.
This is truly a podcast about race.
About race, yes. I did struggle a lot when I first started therapy, but I was like, I wanted to tell my parents that I'm going to therapy.
How did you tell your mom? And how did she react?
I think I sent her a message. And then I just said I need to seek professional help. Because I'm depressed. Yeah. And then she was very understanding. But I think she was really worried. She was like, you can always talk to me, blah, blah. Yeah. And then I kind of felt like, I was like, well, it's not really... Like, I don't think at this point that's helpful for me. Yeah. I think I just need professionals that are dedicated to listening to people. Yeah.
Did you feel guilt?
Yeah, there was a lot of guilt on... Because I feel like the guilt is more so like they think they're bad parents. Yeah. Because I go to therapy. But I think I can feel empathetic because it's like, yes, maybe they have neglected my needs and caused childhood trauma, but also they're like two individuals who have their own lives and they're not going to be able to care for every part of me that I need. Yeah. And it's fine. Yeah. But now I go to therapy. So.
And part of your PayPal money goes towards that.
Yes. Yeah. How
Thank you,
did
Peter.
Oh, thank you, Peter. How did your mom take?
My family is very good at deflecting. I think that's a tactic we use ever since as a child.
The foundation of Asian parenthood.
The foundation of Asian parenting is
Shame, guilt,
deflecting,
emotional blackmailing,
and fulfilling your material needs only.
yes.
And yeah. And I'm not saying that's, fulfilling your material needs is not, it's something that I don't need. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it's, okay, so I came out to my mom about therapy, and immediately I regretted it. Immediately I just felt this like huge amount of guilt that just like washed over me. And it's not guilt for bringing shame to my family, it's more guilt that I told her and that's going to hurt her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you said, like thinking that they're not good enough parents. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to say it, but I think I was in that argument with my mom at the stage where I felt like I said it almost in spite.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate myself for it. And immediately I'm like, I'm a fucking worst person ever for doing this to my own mother. But then I said it. But because that's who I am. And I think it's evidently it has to come out.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I just didn't think that it would come out under this circumstance. And for white people who like goes to therapy and have really woke parents, I envy you, but this is not something that you tell, like if your upbringing isn't an Asian family, it's so unlikely that we tell our parents these kind of things. Like in one of our episodes that we talk about mental health, but in Mandarin, I talked about how one of my relatives have mental issues and everyone just disowned him. Like my entire family, everyone thinks he's crazy. He goes to quote unquote crazy institutes, as they call it.
And I go to that too, but online. My crazy institute is through Zoom only.
Me too. And so it's scary to see that's how like my family and the society treats people that have clearly needs help. And for me to say that openly to my mom, my Asian mom, is like, yeah, it's just, I know it hurts her a lot. And I said it in spite. Like the whole conversation is, I don't think I'm comfortable saying why the conversation started, but it was something along the line of me wanting to make my own decisions about my life. And they won't allow it. It's so absurd. Not
they
putting
won't
in words.
accept it.
They won't accept the fact that I want to make a big decision at the age of 28 of my life. I'm not asking them for money.
Yes.
I'm not asking them for. I'm not asking them for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for emotional support. Like just literally is like, are you okay with me making this big decision of my life? And it was no.
I think parents or Asian parents especially, they have the tendency to kind of like think they know what's best for you.
Yeah.
But I think so much of that knowledge has stemmed from their time, like what they thought was best for them. Like, you know how some Asian parents are like, oh, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, because that was occupations that people look up to. They're occupations that make money. And then so much of that has carried forward into their views on life, that they think, oh, your life should follow that. It's kind of like a formula for success.
Yeah.
But what they don't see or think is that success can vary so much from person to person, like case to case. And also it's like
their definition of success is not my definition of success.
Yeah. So
I think that's where it's like that's where we can't agree on, is that she well, her, like my parents, because she speaks for the two of them.
Yeah.
Because my dad does this thing where if I mention anything remotely, like that will cause a bit of a tension.
Yeah.
He will immediately say, don't say this. Don't talk to me about this. And then he will hang up. And so, yeah, very good at, he is the
master of deflection.
He's the master of deflection. And I've gotten really used to that as a kid. So he will hang up, and then in about 48 to 72 hours of time, my mother will call me and say, hey, did you say this to your dad? Let's talk about it. And then I will get into a huge family revolution with my mother, who will speak on behalf. She is the spokesperson of my dad.
She's like the person who comes out to face the media.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like the press secretary of White House. Family. Yeah. And that's what happened. So yeah, she speaks on behalf of the two of them. And so they think that there is this path they have built for me, and that I have to be following this path. Otherwise, it's just failure.
It's like, I guess it's like when people have expectations of each other, and when you don't match the expectations, it's suddenly a huge deal. But sometimes parents forget that your kids are not a reflection of how you want to live your life. Mm-hmm. You cannot just like put your framework of success or achievement onto the kids. And like I'm not policing my mom on how she lives her life.
And meanwhile, at my household, it's like, welcome to communism. It's just, you've signed up.
Anarchy.
You sign up to this anarchy.
It's more like dictatorship in your household.
And I'm like, obviously, I always think my family is more a bit of an extreme case. And I am grateful for what they gave me. And I know that I am very lucky to have what I have today. But I'm starting to think, maybe I just need to cut my losses and maybe I just never will have emotional support from them. And it's a hard thing for me to think about, because I'm such an emotional person, and I think all I ever wanted from my family is that they also have emotional support for me. But yeah, just times and time that like all these family revolutions keep happening, and it's always almost always over the smallest, most minuscule things. And I'm starting to think, you know what, maybe that's just never going to happen. They're never going to give me what I need emotionally. And it's quite hurtful. Yeah. I'm still processing the emotions of all this.
Yeah. It's hard to say, like, you could give it some time. I think parents, sometimes they come around, but it's not, like, I don't think there's anything that you can say or do to, like, unlock their, like, change their pattern of thoughts. But it's more so like they need to realize that you are a grown woman.
I'm a grown ass own being.
Yeah, like that you're gonna make your own decision, that eventually the results are gonna go directly on you. And
and I understand where they're coming from. They've been through their fair share of struggles in their life, and they want to cut all those struggles out for me so I can just land right into comfort. And that's what many parents do, especially Asian parents. It's like we have, especially immigrant parents, it's like we've understand how hard it is to make it in this country, or to support a family. And so we don't want you to go through the same thing. So let's just go straight to the comfort. But I think comfort and discomfort is in relation. So if I've never experienced discomfort, I'll never land myself into comfort, because then comfort would just be a luxury for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't think that I'll ever enjoy it because I have not earned my fair share of being in a comfort life. And for them, they just coming from a place where they want the best for you.
Yeah.
Without realizing that in the process of doing this, it might be hurting me.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though they're doing it out of like their idea of love.
Yeah.
And what love should look like.
Yeah. But the idea of love is so objective. It's like how I view love is not how they view love. And I think that's where there's never alignment between child and like kids and parents, is that the life that we've lived is so different.
Yeah.
That they cannot see our point of view, and we have a hard time seeing their point of view.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess the end goal is never to align the values, because the values will never align.
True.
But it's more so to like allowing the other person's space for the person to explore, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm telling you that, oh, this is great, you should do that. But it's like, how do you know if you've never tried the other things out?
Yeah.
For you to find out that, oh, actually, this is great for me.
And I think what also hurt me was like throughout the whole conversation, it's just two people hurting each other, consciously knowing that we're hurting each other. We're saying things to hurt each other because we're both hurt. Like, I think when someone hurt you, it's because they're hurt. And the next morning, I just apologized to her. I'm like, I'm sorry for for hurting you. And I think that was the most conscious thing, like the most mature thing I did. Because the whole time we're just hurting each other and saying shit about each other that was so unproductive, and regretting the next day.
Recently, I've been kind of like thinking on the idea of therapy. Because I've always think that I'm a really self-aware person. I know exactly what my pitfalls are, and I know what my problems are. I'm just consciously sabotaging my own life.
Right.
I mean, I started therapy when I was kind of like at the tipping point. But now that it's just day-to-day depression, I'm just like, oh, I don't know if therapy is necessarily helpful for me because I'm so self-aware that everything my therapist is telling me, I already know. I know exactly what my problems are.
Right.
So I'm just not solving them, and that I'm going to therapy purely because I need to unload some trash. I'm trying to like protect other people from my own bullshit, because from dealing with my bullshit for the past 25 years, I know how exhausting it can be.
I guess going to therapy is like the therapists have the full image of like everything, like a full recap of like everything that's been happened to you and your childhood, that she understands why that
tipped.
Why that one little minuscule thing has tipped you.
Yeah, so that's why.
Sometimes she has archived the entire trash bin.
Yes.
So are you going to continue therapy? Like, are you thinking about the idea of therapy just as in like what you need or what you're not getting out of? Or are you thinking like maybe trying something that's not therapy?
I think what I need to do is maybe actively resolve my own problems before I can hop back onto therapy.
You know what the most toxic thing is? I ghosted my therapist.
What? Why?
I ghosted my last therapist. And that's an issue right there in itself. And I also question if therapy is good for me. Like, is it helping me? Like, does it actually do anything for me?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be like, I will have a shit week, and then I can only get an appointment like next week, for instance.
Yeah.
But I've healed myself in this week. So then when I get to the week after, like the day that I have my appointment, I'm like, I actually feel fine. So, but as as an Asian, I'm frugal. So
Yes. I'm not going to cancel that.
So I'm like, you can't cancel that. You know, you need 24-hour notice and everything. It's too late. So I guess I'll just go and talk to her about my traumatic experience last week. But then I'm already healed. So when I got there to talk about my experience, I'm reliving all these traumatic experiences. And then I go into therapy feeling good, and then I left feeling like shit again, like I was last week. So I'm like, this is why I ghosted my last therapist.
It's like,
I felt fine, and I felt shit for another additional week, and I'm like, is this working?
It's like, I have nothing to talk about this week, but you know what happened when I was 7? And then now I have to relive that whole, because I think dealing with your past trauma is extremely exhausting. Like it takes a lot of energy to go through therapy, and usually like right after, you're not gonna feel very relieved. Like you're gonna feel like all sorts of emotions.
Yes. I think it's kind of like dating, you know? Like going back into dating, it's like you need to know what you want out of it before you set up that profile. It's like, do I want casual sex? Do I want meaningful connection? Do I want a stable relationship? Do I want a husband?
Yeah.
And I think going into therapy or reconsidering therapy is more so like, do I just want to dump all my shit on one person and walk away $200 less? Or do I want actual tangible action items I can take away, or what is it? You know? Like,
exactly.
Maybe that's what we need to figure out for ourselves before going back to therapy.
Yeah, like what is it that I'm looking for in therapy?
On a grand scale of things, I'm okay. I think the universe is taking this chance, whether it's Macaroni Gatorade or Mercury Retrograde. Gatorade. It's just kind of giving me some challenges that I need to really reevaluate in my life. And so overall, grateful, appreciative, gratitude that this has been forced upon me. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I will choose forgiveness. That's the lesson I've learned.
Forgive but never forget. Lastly, if you want to see more about our spiral, make sure you go follow us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. It's at sugahoneybbt.
Yep. And you can follow us separately as well. Toby, is at Sensitive Bout, and I'm BBT Mommy.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week. Hope you guys are having an okay week during the Macaroni Gatorade. Mariachi band,
Macchiato.
Macchiato.
Rihanna in Beyonce.
Kind of hot. All right, bye.